Good morning, Rabboisai. Lilu Nishmas Imi Mirosi Rus Bas Mordechai. Today's shir is sponsored by our very dear Chaver, one of the original members, by Hershey Leader. Yes.
On the Zoom, the YouTube, your lens has to be cleaned.
Shkoyach. Now, better? Now I just made it crooked? Did I? Hold on. We're going to have to redo this whole thing.
Sorry.
Okay. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Sponsored by Reb Hershey Leader. Reb Hershey is the only person in the universe that goes to my shir and to my brother-in-law's shir. Both Daf Yomi. It's like a political thing. He really likes my brother-in-law's shir, but he's worried that I'll be insulted if he drops out. So Kitzer, whatever. Lili Nishmas Mori Reb Gershon ben Reb Moshe Shmuel of Hashol, the Neshama should have an aliyah by Dave Carlos. Herschel ben Leib's Yortzeit. He was our dear father, father-in-law, and grandfather. He became religious in the last year of his life. Yesh koina olamai b'shah achas. And was the real tzaddik. He's sorely missed by all. May his neshama have an aliyah. I believe this is the same Dave Carlos. Isn't that Warren's brother? Okay, we'll see. This is Carlos that's part of the shir. I think his name is Daniel, not Dave. I don't know. Might be mistaken. Rabbi Sai, we have a real interesting sponsor today. Get ready. This is not a joke. These are Ilu Nishmas. Aaron Yosef Shalom. You guys know who he is. I'm not going to say his English name. Aaron Yosef Shalom, the originator of the bobblehead. He's the only man in the world that goes around with a bobblehead in Los Angeles of a frum guy, another frum person. Reuven ben Bahia. All right. Shalom should have an aliyah by Morris. An anonymous Morris, in memory of my father, Osher ben Moshe Sharet Shalom. Is that a Sharetz? 13 Kislev. And by Avi Mandelbaum. You guys were missing him. In memory of Chuck Yeager. Can't even say it with a straight face. Rabbi, I'm not gonna say these things, even if you pay me $10,000. But it happens to be that I am a pilot. So I'm gonna let this slide this time. The first man ever to travel faster than the speed of sound. And the second to go 2 times the speed of sound. His contribution to science and aviation should not be forgotten. And his passing is truly sad in the world. Avi, when I go bye-bye, I want you to donate a day in the science. I want to see how that works. Eli Stefansky, the Magid. All right. Anyways, we miss you dearly. I thought he was insulted because I gave him a shtickle musar because he talks about science before the shir. And we have all these Talmidei Chachamim coming on and all they hear is this, science and that. So I gave him like a little shtach the other day and he disappeared. The first time in like a year, he just gone. So I thought he was breaking with us, but no, he's not. He's here. He's on work for 6 weeks. He says. Pardes Achoidish, Shia Greenfield, Green Star Electrical Contracting, Yossi Klein, Superior Plumbing, Muncie. So I'm just going to read this because I don't know. I think his name is Daniel Carlos. Hi there, MDY family. I hope you're all keeping well. Thank you for all the warm welcomes. A tremendous thank you goes to my brother Warren. He gives me chizuk to learn the daf and to join the Daf Yomi cycle and do it alongside with Magid Shir, Eli Stefansky. Hands up. I took out the Rav. Hands up to all of you that are going on keeping the daf strong. I said to my brother today that I, Baruch Hashem, keep myself busy around the clock and have always said I will join the daf one day. I was even thinking of joining after Pesachim. By the way, I have to say this. I see my good friend, Shmooze Bernhout, a tremendous chelach l'raisa. He told me for months, I'm going to join Pesachim. I said, he's here. Not only is he here every day, we're 18 days into Pesachim. He's here like from the first, top of the line on Zoom. You'll see every single day. So way to go. Keep it all the way to the end of Pesachim and then to the end of Shas. However, after my conversation today and seeing how well my brother is doing with his Daf Yomi journey, that's Warren Carlos, his growth, the family is built up, doing a special Magid Shir. That is it. I'm joining and starting today. No delaying or waiting until the next Masechta. That's the way to do it. Thank you, Warren Carlos. We go weiter today. I look forward to learning the daf from today onwards, catching up with the last few Masechtas as time goes on, and Be'ez Hashem, finishing shots with all of you. From strength to strength with bracha, keep up good work. I think this is Daniel, Carlos, and then we have Dave, I think. All right, Rabbi Isai, we are into the 5th day of Tumah. And believe it or not, we're having a lot of fun. It's a lot easier than we anticipated. Yesterday after Zoom, I have to tell you this. Yesterday after the shiur was over, so we had the Zoom Shmooze, and one of the guys said, when is this thing going to be over? I said, what, you're not getting it? He said, no, I'm not chopping. So I looked at him and I told him, in front of area, there must have been 50, 60 people on. I said, about Kishrin like you develop apps around the world. He has an app, he developed an app. You take an iPhone, any phone, you point it at somebody and he'll tell you his blood pressure, his heartbeat, if he has COVID, when he's going to die, everything. So that you develop. Well, you can't understand if a mouse touches a kli, it's in the head. I psyched him out when I said Tumah Taira, push it in the head. Anyway, today is Daf Yud Ches. And we are holding on Daf Yud Amud Beis, 6 lines from the bottom. If you recall, I made it a little simpler today, not simpler, but I took off the 4th sheet of Rav according to Yosef Eliezer's straight. We're going to focus on these 3 sheetas. So we discussed Rameir and Belazar. We're talking about mashkim, liquids. Are they mekabel tumah? According to all 3, they're mekabel tumah midairaisa. You see, check. If a sheretz touches liquid, the liquid becomes 100% tummy. Yesterday we were discussing Rabbi Yehuda. We're going to finish Rabbi Yehuda, then we're going to talk about Rabbi Yossi and go into other sugyas. So Rabbi Yehuda holds that if a sheretz touches mashka, that mashka could be metama food and a kli. And yesterday we said that Rabbi Yehuda retracted a shita. He took away kli, cannot be metama kli. Mashka cannot be metama kli. So now all the Gemara wants to know is, but what about food? Question mark. Is food like Rameir that the mashka cannot be metama, or is food like Rabbi Yossi that mashka could be metama food? Is it a check or is it an X? What do we do with food? Ibaylu Mikela Muda Hadarbe, did Rabbi Yehuda retract only vessels? Aval Ba'achlam Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Sfirlei, that it could be mekabel tumah. The mashka has the ability to impart tumah to food. Or perhaps he completely reversed the shita. He went from saying 100% food and kalim are tamei to food and kalim are not tamei. Complete retraction. Listen to this. This is a fascinating halacha. Mamish beautiful. Para sheshasasa meichatas. You have the water of the para aduma. You take a para aduma. Right? The guy in upstate New York had a paraduma, wasn't willing to sell it for $1 million. The whole story, paraduma is a fortune of money. You take the paraduma, you burn it, and you take the ashes, you put it in water, and then you take the water and you sprinkle it on a tmei mace, somebody that's tummy. Now, as we all know, this is one of the most fascinating things in the Torah. If I take this water and I sprinkle it on someone who's the highest degree of tumah, he becomes, hold on a second, I might have gone out. If you're on YouTube, I apologize. We're still on? What happened? I went on and off?
Why don't you take a break? Go get yourself.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden the screen blank. By me. Did it go blank by anybody else?
Yeah, just you, Eli. Next time if you need a break, just let us know. We'll give you a minute.
I don't need a break. You know me.
Okay.
I'm at day 399. I don't need breaks. I just go. Machine.
We need to go back a little bit because you froze for a while.
Okay. So we're talking about the fascinating halacha of paraduma. You take the ashes of the $1 million cow, the red heifer, you burn it, you put it in water, the ashes you put in water, then you sprinkle the water on somebody who's a tummy mace, the highest level of tumah, and the guy becomes tar. But what happens is the guy that sprinkles it becomes tummy. Why? Because this ash water is actually avatuma. It's a very, very tummy thing. Just the sprinkle helps, it makes somebody else tar. Okay? Counterintuitive, whatever the word is, it works in 2 opposite ways. It can make somebody tar, but the person that's mitar is tummy. So what happens if you put it on your hand? You tell me. What happens if you drink it? So says the Gemara, you have a regular cow grazing around, and it decided to drink this very expensive mechatas water. And then it dies, you shech the animal. And what do you find in its innards? You find a gallon of para of mechatas water. So what happens to the animal? Besara tame. The para, the dead animal, is tame. Before it died, it's not tame. Why? A bal chai, you can't make a cow tame. If you take a sheretz and put it on a cow, it becomes tame? No. If you take paraduma water, put it on the cow, it becomes, no. So if it drinks it, it doesn't become tame. But now that it's dead, and it has paraduma water in it, now it becomes tame. There's another thing also. This is called tuma blua that we had a whole sugya. If I insert this paraduma water into a human being with a pipe, the human being doesn't become tummy because it's hidden in his body. Okay, but we're talking about a different reason. It's a live animal. Since this paraduma water is this mechatas is not ra'ui to be mechatas anymore because it's not nishmar, it's not it's not paraduma water anymore. It's in the stomach. You can't take it out of the stomach and sprinkle it on someone. It's done. So Memela, it's not metama the basar. Says the Gemara. Hold on. Very important to find my thingy. Oh, I'm not going to find it today. Okay. Says the Gemara. And if Rabbi Yehuda agrees that food, like meat, does become tummy through water, mashka, only kalim don't. But food, yes. But when it comes to bread, he holds like Rabbi Shimon down here. So now the Gemara says one of the most amazing things ever. Unbelievable chiddush. Nihi the tuma chamur lemetamu. Yes, you're right that this mechatas water lost its potent properties. Tumakala mia nitamu. But at the end of the day, it should have a light tuma. Says Rashi, I don't know if I could say it as good as Rashi, I can't. We should look in Rashi. 10, 12, 13 lines from the top, approximately. Says Rashi, De'ein negia gdoila mimma sheim noigim ba'atzmam. The water is touching itself. What happened? You have mechatas water that has the most tummy type of property to it. It's avatuma, it's matama, anybody that touches it, and it dissipated. Why? Because you put it into the body of the animal. As it's dissipating, it's leaving, it's exiting the water. On the way out, it touches the water. It hits the water as it leaves. And it should make the water tummy. Not because it's paraduma water, but because paraduma water that touches anything becomes tummy. So as it's leaving, it touched itself. Yeah? This paraduma water, if I touch me, I become tamei. So what if I touch myself? What if this paraduma water touches itself as it's leaving? It should become tamei. You hear what's going on here? We once had this concept, I'll remind you, in Masechet Shabbos, with shoelaces. If one shoelace breaks and then you put it back on and then took it off, as it's breaking, it leaves and it's metal, whatever. Okay, fine. So you have this idea. But that's only if water could be metama the meat. But, so that's the shaila here. Could water be metama food or not? So if you say that Rabbi Yehuda holds that water could be metama meat, it should be metama the meat. Not as the mechatas, but as a lesser degree, as it's leaving the mechatas, too much should be metama the meat. Says the Gemara, "My batlu b'me'el nami batlu b'tuma chamura, abal tuma kala metamu." You're right. Yeah, you're right. If you want, that can be done. I can't prove it from here. Why? Because I could say, what does tuma chamura? Tuma chamura means it doesn't have the ability to be metama a person in kalim, but it has tuma kala. What does tuma kala mean? It has the ability to be metama food. So let's look back for 1 second. Go back to the bottom of Yud Zayin Amud Beis. 2 lines from the bottom. Tashma para sheshasasam mechatas. If a cow drinks this para aduma water, bisara tame, and then comes Rabbi Yehuda and says, no, batlu b'meya. Who's this bisara tame? Isn't bisara tame a different man Amar called the Tanakama? The Tanakama says bisara tame. So if Rabbi Yehuda holds that you're right, the meat is tame. So what is this man Amar saying? Bisara tame. What, they're saying the same thing? Obviously, this man Amar is saying that it's even more tame. Because the Tanakama sovar tuma chamura nami mitamu. It's such a high level of tumah, this meat, that it could be mitama adam v'kelim. Habasara tame katani. It just says that the basar is tame. Says the Gemara kula Rabbi Yehuda. The whole thing is Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara, the Bryce is qualifying what Rabbi Yehuda says. So in other words, it's the famous Chesuri Mechzer. It's missing a word or two for your explanation. There's no Tanakama here. It's one Shita. It's not that the Tanakama says more than Rabbi Yehuda. There's one Rabbi Yehuda who says that there's a Tumah here. That was the Chesuri Mechzer v'achikatani Harish shasas chatas b'sara tamei. A cow who drinks this water, the basar becomes tamei. B'medvar ma'amurim comes Rabbi Yehuda and explains it. He just qualifies. He's not arguing. This is only to the point that the meat becomes a very weak kind of tumah. Not the tumah that it could be, that could make another person or a kli tamei. It can only make food tamei. Rabbi Yehuda explains that this paraduma water, as it goes into the body, the first words of Yud Ches Amud Aleph, the water, the mechatas, that has all these powers, as soon as it goes into the cow, it's no longer protected like you're supposed to protect the water, therefore it loses its properties, gone. But it's able to be metama food. Rav Ashi Omar, no. At the end of the day, I'll tell you the mashka, that's what we're trying to prove here. Is mashka metama midiraisa or not? Yeah, mashka is metama midiraisa. So what are you claiming? If this mashka has tumah, so it should make everything else tamei? No. It becomes completely batal. Why? This water that the cow drank and it's in the body of the para doesn't resemble mechatas anymore. It's spoiled water. It's disgusting water that comes out of a cow's. You can't say, oh, it's paraduma water that lost a little bit of its potency and now it's able to impart some tumah. It's nothing. It's zero. It's not water. It's spoiled water. And memela can't be matam anything. But regular water could be matam. So don't bring a raya from paraduma to anything. We had it similar the other day. We had the what was it? The chametz that wasn't roy lachilas kel, something similar. It's not even chametz. It's after ba'alma. It's nothing. Says the Gemara. Now we're going to the final sheet over here. Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Shimon hold that a sheretz that touches mashka, the mashka becomes tamei midaraisa. But here's what's interesting. It depends what it could be metama. It could be metama, only food, but not kalim. They make a split. Whereas Rameir says it can't be metama anything. They say it could be metama, food, but not kalim. Says the Gemara. So what are we talking about? As the Gemara explained yesterday, we're talking about a suffix. Now, by the way, when the Gemara says suffix, the Gemara is trying to tell us what the Da'iraisa is. How do I know what's Da'iraisa? What does it say in the Torah? Based on a suffix. Why? We have a suffix. We don't know if a guy who's tamei touched this food, touched this water. Suffix. Now, if the halacha is that it's tamei, that tells me that's code that we're dealing with a da'iraisa. Why is it tamei? Because suffix, tuma, b'shus hayachid is tamei if it's da'iraisa, but only da'iraisa. If it's the rabban, it's not tamei. So going back to that case, I mean, we could talk about regular case, but suffix. La'achlim tmeim, l'kelim ta'im. If you have a suffix, since it's a da'iraisa, when it comes to food, so the food is tamei, the kli is tar. Rabbi Yosi b'shitas Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Amora. So it's very interesting. Rashi points out that Rabbi Yosi was. If you look here at this list, all these are his talmidim. Rashi brings them all down. Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Lazar ben Shamua. These are talmidei Rabbi Kiva. These are the 5 famous talmidim. Rabbi Yosi was going in Rabbi Kiva's shita. And what's interesting is that at the end of the sugya, we'll see today, Be'ezer Hashem, at the end, it's not Rabbi Yossi going in Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Yossi just said Rabbi Kiva holds like that. In other words, Rabbi Yossi himself does not hold of this. Rabbi Yossi was just saying, according to my Heilige Rebbe, Rabbi Kiva, this is the halacha. I myself hold something else. Okay. Snan, boy bayoim dorash Rabbi Kiva. So we had this in Mesechtes Brachos. Any time in Shas that says boy bayoim is referring to that very famous day that we say on Seder night that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Harei ani kiven shivim shana. What happened was Rabbi Gamliel was the Nasi. They took this Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. He was perfect for the job. He was a Talmid Chacham and he had money and he was able. They made him the Nasi. Now he was only 18 years old. Harei ani kiven shivim shana. What happened that day was they got rid of Rabbi Gamliel, so they opened up the doors of the Beis Medrash. Maybe 400 benches, new benches of Talmidim came into the Beis Medrash. Some say 700. So there's a tremendous amount of new Torah going on. And by Bayayim, you'll see in Shas, Rabbi Kiva says different halachas. On that day, Rabbi Kiva said this, that. I checked it up. The Gemara over there says anytime it says by, but it's not anytime. It's anytime that's obvious. In other words, it says in Shas, by Bayayim, v'haya b'ayim or what? It says boy bayoim, like they'll say, it'll talk about a woman that boy bayoim, she died. Obviously, it's not talking about that day. But when it says boy bayoim, in the middle of nowhere, boy bayoim, that is there's only one boy bayoim in the whole Shas. That day, the Rebbe Elazar became the Nasi. So what happened? Boy bayoim, Darj Rebbe Kiva, v'chol kli cheres asher yipol mem Rebbe Yisai. Because of these tumah things, I have such a knot from these charts. Now, not this particular one. This is. You'll see in a second. It says in the pasuk, "Kli cheres asher yipol mehem al toichoy." You have a kli cheres, earthenware, and something falls into the ear space of the earthenware. It doesn't touch the kli. A tremendous chiddush. If it's just hanging in the air space, it'll make the kli tamei. Kol asher b'toichoy yitmo. Not only that, anything that's in the kli becomes tamei. Let me explain. Here, unbelievable. Chapalarano. Here's a mouse. Ooh, I didn't print it, but on the chat, it'll say right over here, mace. Because, I don't want anybody to think because his eyes are open, he's alive, and they'll start writing emails. It's just for the picture. Illustrative purposes only. Right? Because if he's dead, he can't hang. There's a few shilas here. Okay, fine. This glass, I need to be up front, is not glass. It's a cheres. I put here cheres. Okay? I don't know of anywhere that I could find see-through ceramic ware. So I wanted to show that the mouse is in the airspace of the cheres, but it's not touching the cheres. Okay, so it's here. What's the mouse? The dead mouse? Avatuma. So what does the kli become? A rishon latuma. So if you have a bread sitting on the bottom of the kli, that's touching the rishon. The kli is a rishon. The bread becomes a sheni. Now, what happens if the bread touches something else? Could it impart tumah to something else? So that says Rebbe Kiva, yes. Why? Because the pasuk says yitma, and it should really say tamei. Kol asher b'soichai tamei. What's this word yitma? So Gemara over here, we're going to learn two drushes from the word, but yitame. I read it yitame. It has the ability to be mitame something else. Yitame. Otherwise, it should say tame. Why is it yitma? But a mikra yotzim they pshutai. It says yitma. It doesn't say yitame. So the Gemara is going to say another drasha also for that. This time it doesn't say the word tame. Ela yitma. What does it come to teach us? Yitama achirim, that has the ability to be mitame, make something a shlishi. Limit al kikar sheni. The bread that's inside the cup. The actual kli is a rishon because it touched the avatum of the sheretz. So Mela makes the bread a sheni, al kikar sheni, shois is shlishi b'chulin, that has the ability to impart tumah to another food and make that one step lower called a shlishi. And Mela what? The same idea. Yeah.
And the bread itself doesn't become a sheni from the airspace.
Okay, so that's Rashi's kasha, and the answer is no, because if I'll just say quickly, I don't want to confuse the oilam, but the bottom line is that if the airspace creates tumah for the bread, then the airspace should create tumah for another vessel. and that doesn't happen. So it's not the ear space that creates a tumah. The ear space makes the kli tameh, and then in return it makes the bread tameh. But it's a good kashi, shkoyach. Anyway, says the Gemara, it has the ability to impart tumah. Fine. So memela, we have the same idea by liquids. Liquids is the same thing. And how do you darish in this? Look at the next pasuk. First it says food, and then it says in the same pasuk, and it says yitma by oichel. I'm not sure 100%. There's 3 yitmas here. What do you do with the third one? I don't know. So it talks about liquid and talks about oichel. So we learn the word. By the way, if you don't have nekudis, this can mark you get confused. It says yitma, but we read it yitamei. L'tamei tumas oichlin. It's like l'cha l'cha, lech l'cha. It's the same word, but we know yitma. It says we read it yitamei. It should impart to something else. L'tamei tumas oichlin. L'tamei tumas oichlin or yeino el l'tamei tumas mashkin. Maybe it's coming to say that the kli imparts that the bread could impart tumah to another liquid. I'm just like achoya. Like achoya. It can't be. My like achoya. What do you mean? One thing, like we said when we started off the sugya, one liquid cannot make another liquid tummy. A food cannot make another food tummy. That's the way it works. The only thing that you could have, a food can make liquid tummy, and liquid can make food tummy. But one cannot make the other. You can't take food and make another food tummy. I need that pointer thing, which I don't know where it is. This is going to be bad. Oh, here it is. Yogato motzoso tamin. I love Dambi. No longer part of the shir. Last time I accused him of not being part of the shir, he sent, what are you talking about? I listen every day. Okay, here we go. Now, it's going to be a lot better now. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Sorry, Lauren's asking a great question. Then how do we say that the water touching itself is being matame, if the water is not can't be matame?
Well, what? Oh, you mean before Rashi's touching itself thing?
Yeah.
Because it's going from a very strong tumah of a av to a lower tumah. As it's leaving, it's imparting itself. But to take the same tumah and go down a level, you know what I'm saying? As it's imparting, okay, I hear. Gishmak kasha. Says the Gemara, Ravina Omar, Begufa de Kra nami lo meltzes armers, yitma l'tamas tumas mashkin. You can't say that this yitma, mashka, v'chol mashka sheyishasa, yitma, is referring that it's the liquid is going to be metama another liquid. Why? This yitma, the seifa, l'tama tumas mashkin, yitma the reisha, not l'tama tumas mashkin. So this yitma and this yitma, which are all both in pasuk lamed daled, shall all be referring to the same thing, that they're coming to impart tuma on liquid. Now ravino v'nichtavino. So then why do you need the same pasuk to say the word yitma twice? Just say mikal ha'oichel asher yachal sheyavel of mayim v'chol mashka. Skip the word yitma and put the word yitma all the way at the end if it's telling you the same thing. Now, Ravina v'nichtavinu. Mikol ha'oichel asher yachal sheyavel of mayim v'chol mashka asher yishaz b'chol kli yitma trade yitma lamali. Ella, the reason why it says yitma twice, ela yitma the reisha, which is talking about food, l'tama tumas mashkim. Food could be metama liquid. Yitma the seifa l'tama tumas achlim. And liquid could be metama food. That's why it says yitma twice. They're on the reverse. The yitma by food tells me that food could be metama, the opposite of it, liquid. And the yitma by liquid tells me the opposite of liquid, which is food. Maybe, like we had Shitas, where is that? Rabbi Yehuda, in the beginning, in the Havamina, that a sheretz is metama liquid, and liquid is metama bread and kalim. Before he retracted, liquid was metama kalim. So maybe that's what the pasuk is coming to say. They give you metama kalim with liquid. V'lav kavachoymeru. Oh, Rabbi Yisai have a kavachoymer, a visual kavachoymer. I wasn't so much leich at the end of the sugi, but now I have a good one. Uma kli shemitama mashka, a mitama kli. Let's do it without visual first. Let's see how we understand this. Rabbi, the guy that makes apps, put your head here for a second. Uma kli shemitama mashka, a mitama kli, a kli that has the ability to impart tumah to liquid. It cannot impart tumah to another kli. One kli cannot make another kli tameh. Mashkin haboy machmas kli. Mashkin haboy machmas kli, liquid that becomes tameh from a kli, and eventually tamu is hakelim. Ah, geschmack! Look at this. Woo! Love it. A kli could impart tumah to mashka, but a kli is so weak that it cannot impart tumah to something like it. X, it doesn't impart tumah. So how is it possible, says the Gemara, that mashka that got its whole tumah from the kli could be stronger than the kli itself? A kli cannot make another kli tameh. So mashka that got its tumah, its whole source from a kli, should make another kli tameh? Bam. Geschmack kal v'chomer. Says the Gemara, whoa, who told you that this mashka got tumah from a kli? Maybe it got tumah from a sheretz. And that's why it's much stronger than a kli, and it can make another kli tameh. Hey, mashka that got its tumah from a kli, you're right, cannot impart tumah to another kli. Because it can't, this right over here, mashka, cannot be stronger than the original. The original can't make another kli tameh, so the mashka that came from a kli should be one step even less. Certainly shouldn't make. No, but we're talking about perhaps water, liquid, that got its tumah from a dead mouse. It's much stronger than from a inanimate object, such as a mug. Says the Gemara, it doesn't say anywhere in the Torah liquid that originated from a mouse. We're turning to Daf Yomi Pesachim. Oh, there's another kavachomer. That what? Uma mashkin haboim machmas kli mitamin. If liquid comes from a kli, it imparts tumah. Mashkin haboim machmas sheretz leikolchki. I think this is the one. Yeah. You have avatuma. Oh, here I put mace. You see? Just for the naysayers. It's dead. It's a live dead mouse hanging, and there's liquid in the bottom. The liquid becomes what? A rishon. Because the liquid is touching the kli cheres. The liquid in here becomes tummy. And it imparts tumah to the food. So what does it say here? Uma mashkin aboy machmas kli mitamin. Mashkin aboy machmas sheretz lekol shkein. What?
Didn't we say in the last chart that the bread became
Let's see. So maybe it's a sheni. Maybe you're right. It's a sheni and a shlishi. Yeah, it's a sheni. Okay. Boy side, this is going to be very sad. All right, we're just going to have to redo it later. Yeah, sheni and shlishi. I think. Look it up. Tell me if, I hope I didn't rip it up for nothing. So, Uma mashkin aboy machmas kli mitame, mashkin aboy machmas sheretz loy kolchkin. So if a sheretz touches directly, here, if the sheretz touches directly, you see, right over here to there, so a bad should become tamei. Says the Gemara, Dayu lovim and adin liyos kenidain. Anytime, and we're going to talk about this later because this is very important. Dayu lovim and adin liyos kenidain. When you learn a kavachomer, you're learning a dead sheretz from mashkim, from liquids that are in the kli. You can't be stronger than what you're learning from. So memela, you can't learn a kli from it, that it could be matama kli. You want to say that this mashka that touch the sheretz should be able to impart to a kli, something we didn't know before. That's more than the kavachomer. That's something that we don't know. The original kavachomer stops at imparting tumah to food, not to a kli. So you can't use a kavachomer and go up a level with the kavachomer. The most you can do with the kavachomer is be level. Learn from the kal to the chomer, but not more than the kal. And you want to say that this water that touched the sheretz should be more than what you're learning from it. Should even impart tumah to a kli. That's dayalovim and adin leis kinida. We can't do that. And we're going to see an amazing halacha regarding that all the way at the bottom of the Amud Beis. Says the Gemara.
They're asking if you did the sponsors.
Oh no, because it was. I'm doing them right now. Yishkoy for reminding me. So we just turned to Daf Yitchesem the Beis. Lil Nishmas Rechama Chaya Fruma Aleh Shalom Bas Reb Doiv Pinchas Yibal Chaim Tovim. And Lil Nishmas Reb Chil Shraga Ben Avram Halevi Alav Shalom. Sponsored by Kamen from the 5 towns. Lil Nishmas his heilige father Menachem Mendel Ben Simcha. And sponsored by the Fine and Pearl families in the Schus or Refuah Shleima from Mindel Elka Bas Edel. She should have Refuah Shleima. Says the Gemara Yitma the Reisha Heichidarish. How are we learning the first Yitma in the pasuk? So the word Yitma, we're going to read it, equals, like I have over here, Yitavi. It equals Tam. To teach us that liquids, food makes liquids tummy. Perhaps it's coming to teach us that liquids could be metama a vessel, not food. Where do you see in this pasuk that liquids, that it's metama mashkin, food is metama mashkin, maybe food is metama vessels. Where does it say in the pasuk anything about mashkin? I have another kavachomer. If mashka, forget it. We're just going to go straight to the thing. Check this out. Liquid could be metama food, but cannot be metama kli. So what do you see? So food that cannot be metama food, what's stronger, food or liquid? Liquid. Liquid could be metama food, yet it's weak, it cannot be metama kli. So food that's very weak to begin with because it can't even metama another food, so certainly it should not be able to be metama a kli. So what could it be metama? Liquid. The only thing it can be metama is liquid. If the pasuk says it's metama something, we're forced to say that it's metama liquid and not a kli because of this kavachomer. How could food be stronger than liquid? Even liquid can't be metama kli, so certainly not food. So what could it be metama? Other liquid. Says the Gemara, it's so weak. Food, liquid cannot be metama kli. And it didn't shali metama kli. So certainly food should not be able to be metama kli. So then what do we do with the word? The Torah says yitma. That's how we read it. Yitma, that's metama. L'tam is amashkim. So the only thing left to teach us is that food could be metama liquids, and liquids are metama food. Why? Because liquids are ulul, they're prone to tumah. Which the Gemara is going to explain what it means. My area, says the Gemara, stop. My area, mashkim mishum da'alul and kabel tumah. Why are you telling me? Because they're prone. We just went through this. The Torah says that food could be metama something. We don't know what, question mark. It's a riddle. But from the Kavachomer, I know it cannot be metama other food. It can't be metama kelim. And later on, I'm going to learn that it can't be metama food. Like Rav Papa said, food is not metama food. Liquid is not metama liquid. So if it can't be metama food, food cannot be metama food. Food cannot be metama kli. You're only left with one other thing in the world. It's called mashka. So why are you telling me, because it's prone? Prone. Forget prone. I'm forced to say that it's metama liquid. I'll say in general, food is more chomer. Why? The metama mashka. And mashka is not metama mashka, right? Remember Rav Papa. Liquid is not metama mashka, but food could be metama mashka. So maybe I can't learn a kavachayim. Netami likli. So maybe food should be metama, a vessel, because it's stronger than mashka. So the Gemara, chumra the mashkin. That's a chumra in mashka. In other words, why is food metama mashka? Because mashka is more chomer, not because food is more chomer. The mashkin alul and kabel tuma. They're prone to it. What does it mean? Now the Gemara finally explains. So now I have to come on to this idea of that they're prone. Shemekabel tuma shaloi behechsher. Shas's favorite topic, hechsher tuma. If I have an apple, the only way I can make this apple tameh is if I pour a bunch of water on it, pour honey, dew, milk, whatever, the 7 mashkim. Only then does it become tameh, but otherwise it doesn't become tameh. Liquid, all by itself, naturally, you don't have to pour liquid on liquid in order to make the liquid susceptible to tumah. It's susceptible without, so that's why it's chamer. Yitma, we're going weiter, new sugya, smack in the middle of the Amud. Yitma, deino isa ke yoytze ba, mehacha nafka, mahasa nafka. So I learned from the word yitma here. It says in the pasuk yitma. So here the Gemara is saying, ein mikra yotzim de pshutai. At the end of the day, yes, it's very nice to say that yitma, I could read it, yitamei, and it has the ability to impart tumah. But what about the yitma, that it itself becomes tamei? Says the Gemara, what do I learn from it? That food doesn't make other food tamei. Here, that's where I learned it, from this actual word. It should have said tamei, instead it says yitma. So number one, I learned that food, it itself becomes tamei. Zehu, end of the line. Yitma, a piece of bread becomes tamei, but a piece of bread cannot make another piece of bread tamei. That's halacha number one. Number two is yitamei. It does have the ability to make something tamei. What? Not food. Liquid. So I'm learning two things here. Stop at one thing. It itself becomes tamei and nothing else. But on the other hand, something else does become. Yitamei. What? A different category called mashkin. Says the Gemara, but mahasam nafka, I have a different pasuk. This is the famous pasuk that talks about hechsher tuma, that if I take water and pour it on top of a seed, and then on top of the seed a sheretz, a dead sheretz, fell, then tamei who tamei v'noisa tuma k'yatzeba. From this pasuk I learned it, that only it itself is tamei, the seed, but the seed doesn't have the power to impart its tumah on something else. Says the Gemara, chad b'mashkin maboim machmas sheretz, v'chad b'mashkin aboim machmas kli. One is talking about liquid that touched the sheretz, and one is talking about liquid that was inside a kli that had a sheretz hanging in the ear space. Utzricha. Okay, I need both of them. Diashminu b'mashkin aboim machmas kli, v'shum delei chamiri. This is hard to understand, really. I don't understand it completely, but the Gemara says that if you have a mouse hanging inside a kli, that's not so chomer. To me, that would seem very chomer because that's the pasuk. That's literally the words of the pasuk. Okay, but it's if you look at it side by side, it looks not chomer because it's in the ear space. But when the sheretz touches it, that's a lot worse. Although the pasuk doesn't talk about that. The pasuk talks about in the ear space. So maybe in that case, the tumah should be, maybe it should be even more. It's not even in the Torah, and it should be even more. Okay.
No, it means that those waters become a sheni.
No, but the Gemara is saying it should be chamiri. It should be worse. It should be much more tamei than hanging out in the ear space. That what? That it's so tamei. If a sheretz touches mashka, then that mashka is so tamei, it should make another mashka tamei. Whereas the original pasuk doesn't make another mashka tamei, but something that I'm going to learn from the original pasuk is going to be even stronger than the original pasuk. That's when you say da you love and adin le'izkei. Okay, fine. Not for now. Says the Gemara, okay, so I have a tzrichus. I need both. Liquids that were touched by a sheretz, liquids that were in a cup that was, the sheretz was hanging out in the cup. So, but just say one. No, this is your favorite kasha. Just say one out of the two. Say the more chomer, that even when the sheretz touches the liquid, it doesn't have the ability to part tumah. And certainly if the sheretz doesn't touch, it's just hanging out in the airspace. Says the Gemara, now this, no, you're not going to like this teretz, because the Gemara is telling you that there's no such thing as trichusa, there's no chaymer kal. Sometimes, even if I can learn a kal v'chaymer, I say it anyways in the pasuk. But if you look in the Gemara in Kedushin, Daf Amud Beis, the Gemara says these exact same words, and over there the Gemara says you only use this excuse when you have nothing else. You're up against the wall and you're stuck. So you say mil but typically you try to get out of it. Typically you try to say, no, I need this and I need that. If I just don't have what to do, you put your hands up and you say, you know what, sometimes the Torah goes out of its way and it says it. Fine. Right? The ones that gathered the Shas, the authors of Shas. V'omar Rava, loy Reb Yosi Sava lo Reb Akiva, v'loy Reb Akiva. So this is a new sugya. We can really start it tomorrow, but okay, we'll go into it. So Reb Yosi does not hold like his Rebbe, Reb Akiva. V'loy Reb Akiva Sava lo Reb Yosi. They don't hold each other. And therefore, why are you telling me that Rabbi Yosi was saying his whole pshat according to his Rebbe Rabbi Akiva, the way Rabbi Akiva darshan the word by Yoimahu on that day of Rabbi Gamliel, Yitma is Yitame. He doesn't hold of him b'chlal. Omerlei, Rabbi Yosi b'shittas Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Amara. You're right. He only said it in the name of his Rebbe, V'lei loy svirlei. He doesn't hold of it. We'll start the sugya tomorrow. I see we're running late. I apologize. But it seems like a shorter daf, easy daf. Ooh, yeah, okay. Be'ezer Hashem, Rabbi Yisai, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
וישנה כבשה נפשי ולגו, אכלתי. ושילודנה משמים לבויקר, שמים לבויקר. אחרי לשאול אדוני, כי מלאי חסד והרבה, מה יפדוס? ובפתס תשאל מכל ונסע. אחרינו כבשנו נסעים בשר ושבעים דברי מהמובן מרבה שמרק מאחוריהם מציעים לצעון ואחר כאלה, רמשפת לגולה, השכם בגלות שמרקים ונמרמי.
Daniel Carlos, I see it's Daniel. So is it Dave or that's somebody else? Is that another person? Fill me in here. What's going on?
It's our father.
Ah, okay, got it. Does your father watch the shir?
He's on now. Hopefully.
All right, beautiful. So two. Have a great day, Akiva. Great day.
Have a great day, We're excellent.
Yishkoyach.
Ellie, when you called me out,
Carlos.
I went outside. There's noise outside.
I didn't say your name. Don't say your name now. I didn't say your name. I said a tremendous genius that develops apps. Tells me he has a hard time with a couple of mice and a clee. Please.
Ravelli, what I want to know is why don't you have a mouth?
In my street, like we live in third world country. There's like literally roosters running up and down my block. Someone lost their roosters.
Ellie, I want to know why you don't have a mouth as a display.
This is a very good reason. Share it. The same reason I don't have a PIG as a display. There's certain things you have to put. There's a limit to all this litzanas.
That'll be the next one with the Marblehead.
Yeah. All right, listen. I don't usually do kavachaimers, drawing kavachaimers, but I think because of this whole sugya, it lends a little bit to the Tumah and Tahara sugya, making more. I want people to come out of the sugya and saying, "Hey, this was easier than a regular sugya." That's it.
It was easier than regular sugyas. Thank you, Ali.
All right, I'm not going to call you out tomorrow, Mati.
What was the answer to yesterday's kasha that you put out? About the oil in the Beis Hamikdash.
I said it, the middle shear. Okay, I'll go over it again. The kasha is that if there's a man Amar that says that oil cannot become tamei by itself, then why does it say v'timu kol hashmanim? Then there's no neis Chanukah. And the answer is there is no such man Amar. Why? Here, hold on a second. I got to get my 1 second. No, I need to get my sheet to show you inside. It's beautiful. Hold on. Here we go.
YouTube's still going.
Here. According to Yosi ben Yoezer, that says mashkim atar, completely tar. So it could be either that he's referring to Bei Midbechayo, he's talking about the butcher area, but in the butcher area there's only two liquids, water and blood. That means that oil does become tamei. So if you hold Bei Midbechayo, there's no question at all. The oil becomes tamei. But if you're going to say Bei Midbechayo, that it's all the liquids of the Beis Hamikdash, oil, wine, water, and blood do not become tamei. That the Gemara said, if you hold that, you must hold of Shmuel, green. Green goes with blue. And what does Shmuel say? That the liquids do become tamei by themselves. They just don't have the ability to impart tumah to something else. So in other words, according to everybody, the oil itself could become tamei. It's just a question if the oil can make something else tamei. But Timur Kol Hashmanim, 100%. The oil became tamei. You have to know the sugya in order to know the answer to that question.
What about, did it
in the Beis Hamikdash.
You could also say that once it leaves the Midbar Chayu, it becomes Tamei.
Where did it leave? No. Midbachaya means the Mizbeach, but it doesn't really mean the Mizbeach. It means the entire Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, but I don't think there were Choshish that had left. You're giving now thank you. Gedalia, have a great day. What? No, Mizbeach doesn't mean Dafka Mizbeach. It means everything in the Beis Hamikdash. It just means right, everything. But I'm saying you don't have to come on to your answer. Your answer is doichak, that they took it out of the Beis Hamikdash. I'm saying even in the Beis Hamikdash, everybody agrees that the oil does become tamei. So you don't have to come on to any excuses, any other reasons. Oil becomes tamei 100% according to all shittas. Because even if you say Bei Midbachaya, that all the liquids don't become tamei, the pshat is not that they don't become tamei. Pshat is they don't make other things tamei. They themselves are, of course, tamei. You have to say that the blue goes together with green. Yeah.
When you said about the person who pours the parazuma water, that he becomes tamei.
Yeah.
What kind of tumah is he getting?
Not tumas mace. No, the other guy has the crazy tumas mace 7 days and then this and that. He's just a regular 1 day tumah.
Because you had originally said that the tumah of a parazuma is something that.
It's a very strong. It's an avatuma, so he becomes a rishon, like touching a mouse. Yeah, like touching a mouse. But the guy that you sprinkle it on has a 7 day tumah of tumas mace. It's a terrible tumah. That you get rid of right away with the sprinkling.
But he's becoming tar from that water.
He becomes tar, and the sprinkler becomes tamei. It's one of the most interesting things in the whole Torah. No, it's not. It's a chayk. You don't understand it. There's no explanation. The point of the reason why I brought that up is because just to show how powerful it is. It has tumah to it. So if a cow drinks it, maybe it should become tamei, the cow. Yeah.
They were on the Besdin that were massacring the Nes Hanukkah.
Really?
The Pasuk brings it down. I'm looking for it. I'm trying to find it. But I heard
Wow, Chaval. You see, these are all things. Chaval, I didn't know this today or yesterday.
I just heard it today.
Wow. I mean, it's past the sugi kind of, but okay. Yep. Wait a minute, Yisrael, what? You became Breslov now? Yesterday you were Lubavitch. No, you said a mikra ba'olam. Isn't that Breslov?
There's no coincidence in the word.
I know, but who coined that phrase?
I don't know who came up with that phrase.
A year's ba'olam klal. Okay, maybe I'm confusing two phrases. So Daniel Carlos, where is he? He's off already? Yeah.
Just to let you know, through any cases of I never got it until I got this year. I completely understood it.
Wow. I don't know if you guys were on yesterday, but he asked a beautiful question. Mamish, a good kasha. I forgot to look it up where I saw that answer. My chavrusa would know. Where I saw the pshat that the Akash Baruch Hu gave the goyim the power to make tumah. It was like a schus that they got. He enabled them to make tumah. To answer your question from yesterday. But shkoyach, what you went? Which yeshivas did you go to?
I go.
Yeah.
Okay, I went to
Nasa Sapir?
Yeah.
Where's that? Where do you live again? Remind me.
In Flatbush.
Oh. Where? Where in Flatbush? What street?
Talk over here.
I used to live in Flatbush. Where did you live? Where do you live?
Well, during the week in Flatbush and on East 4th
East 4th.
and M.
Oh. I used to live on East 4th, but I can't even say it, but Shmooze Lemmer's there. Ditmus. Ditmus and F. Ditmus and F.
Well, I
Shmooze, is it still embarrassing to say Ditmus and F?